I'm not making any money. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Fair use. Euro News. Euro views EU troops might be needed to stop a U.S. showdown in Greenland. It's called Loyum Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom, to your sisters, your akhwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. I'm going to tell you, it is now official. Trump's America will invade Greenland. Let me say this again. It is now official. Trump's America will invade Greenland. All right? I give all praises and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles, to the elders, Great Millstone, Shalom to you, and Shalom to the hopefully elect brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. Yep, we're getting closer and closer and closer. You know, always remember the mark of the beast, the microchip must be in play before Russia goes head to head with America to exchange nuclear missiles. But the trajectory is going exactly how the Lord has got it planned, according to prophecy. So it's official. America is getting ready to invade Greenland. No ifs, no buts, no maybe. The Danish Prime Minister has ordered its soldiers to shoot on sight. I say this again. The Danish Parliament have ordered their soldiers to shoot on sight. So let's start with Trump's official words. They are going to invade Greenland, whether they like it or not. Not my words, the words of DJ Trump, aka Emperor Nero 47. All right? So let's listen up.
How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland. And we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way. But if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And I'm a man. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan. But the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. Sure, we had lots of boats go there also. But we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way. Please, go ahead, ma'am.
President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. And with a nation, look at what happened with Obama, with that horrible deal they made with Iran. It was a short-term deal. It was like a 9-year deal. Countries can't make 9-year deals or even 100-year deals. Countries have to have ownership. And you defend ownership, you don't defend leases. And we'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will. Not going to happen. We are not going to have, and I like China, I like Russia, I love the people of China, I love the people of Russia. I get along very well with President Putin, but I'm very disappointed in him. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to go over to China in April, but I don't want them as a neighbor in Greenland. Not going to happen. And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now. But we're not going to allow Russia or China to occupy Greenland, and that's what's going to happen if we don't.
So you heard it.
Marco Rubio tells lawmakers Trump wants to buy Greenland. Okay? Now, the question is, you can't find it on sale on Realtors, Zillow, all these other sites. We were talking about it earlier. But apparently they want to make an offer. What does that mean? Rubio, out of nowhere, makes that announcement, and people are reacting to it. Buying up Greenland. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told lawmakers Trump wants to buy Greenland rather than invade it. While Mr. Trump has asked aides to give him an update on the plan for acquiring the territory, U.S. officials said on Tuesday. Rob, is this a clip of Rubio or?
No, this is President Trump talking about the necessity of acquiring Greenland.
Go for it.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security.
Cold War
And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for changing Greenland?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say
I don't
this.
want to talk about
We
Greenland
need
now.
Greenland
After the
from
dog
standpoint
sled.
of national security.
Oh my God.
And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that.
That's amazing. Listen to that last line. The EU knows that it is strategic. They know that there's a gateway up there where Russian naval forces come through. They also know that that Nuuk could be a base of operations for a fast response to the Northern Atlantic. And what you just heard there, that is the story behind the story. They'll have you believe that it's all rare earth minerals. Well, there's a lot of rare earth stuff that's very valuable in Greenland that would help the West. All of the West, by the way, not just the USA. But he's saying there needs to be more security. Greenland is a strategic location, and the Dutch aren't going to get it done, and the EU knows it. So the EU...
Yeah, come back to the article to finish it up. And Euro News, it says if cooperation or Greenlandic independence fail, a preemptive EU troop development could avert a U.S. confrontation on the island. Germany, Greenland, MEP Sergei Lugotis Lugotsky, yeah, Lugotsky, something like that, argued in an opinion article for Euro News, right? So could it possible be that they can develop a unit or a military unit that can avert the U.S. Military, right?
On Tuesday, leaders of 6 NATO nations joined Mette Frederiksen, the Prime Minister of Denmark, to issue a remarkable joint statement pushing back against Trump's assertion that the U.S. should be taking over Greenland. The nations that aligned with Denmark were Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Poland, all of which are close allies of the U.S. So it's interesting, Jeff.
So they're just negotiating for a price.
That's what they're doing.
Right, yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, right? Which the whore being America, right? Babylon the Great, and the 10 horns being basically the EU, right? The European nations, right? NATO, right? Because even though America's part of NATO, NATO is basically separating, right? As you could see, and joining themselves together, separate from the United States, right? And the 10 horns refer back to what? Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, West Germany, Ireland, Denmark, right? The UK, and Greece, right? And that would be with the 10 horns, right? Okay. It says and that stems from that. And then of course the UK is where America stems from, right? and it says and shall make her desolate and naked, right? And so, hey, they might be, it might be some more propaganda things popping off, and them exposing the truths about America, you know, some more file leakage, you know, like the was it the Epstein file? Because maybe that's not an accident. That's not an accident. Maybe that's from these other nations. You know, they leaked out true information, which had to be investigated, and then all of a sudden they're trying to shut it down because all these people are in cooperation with it, right? So now they want to try to ignore. So that's why this whole thing with snatching up the president of Venezuela, which there's a deeper meaning for that too, obviously, right? Because they have to prepare to maybe have to go to war with China, right? And so they need the resources, which is another key thing. They need the resources for Ireland. I mean, not Ireland, but Greenland, right? Because they need Greenland strategically, right? Because they're trying to go into the Arctic, right? In the Arctic region, and there must be something there because all the major players are trying to get there. Russia's trying to get to the Arctic. China's trying to get to the Arctic, and of course America's trying to get to the Arctic, and then you got a couple other people. They're all trying to get to the Arctic. So there must be something, something important there, at least according to them. You know, something that's strategic to world dominance, because that's ultimately what they want, is this world dominance thing. And but they're gonna hate the whore, and shall make the whore desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's in the time what these ICBM missiles are gonna, you know, in this Third World War, right? Things are gonna cook up, because as you can see, they're already separating from America via through this well, really it started off with the Ukraine thing. Trump backed out from the Ukraine thing, and then this just, I guess this heightens the whole thing with them saying that they may take Greenland by force, right? They may pay for it or take it by force, and then you got all you're supposed to be your allies ready to team up to protect Greenland, right? For the power the Most High Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai had put in their mind, it's like it's heart. It's heart, but in the Hebrew, la'ab meaning mind, Salakia. Because I think another thing it should say that. It should say mind. But yeah, because that's what it means, your heart, la'ab, your mind, to fulfill His will, and that's ultimately what this is all about. And that's what the Lord does on a daily basis. He puts in your heart and your mind, your la'ab, your mind, His will, and to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast, right? That's NATO. Right, and they're planning to team together to become a force, the NATO, the beast, until the words of the power shall be fulfilled, right? And they're going to come against America, and they're going to come together. And I believe that's France. France is the main one, was saying that they want to build their own military, that they may have to come against the United States. So it's Jeremiah chapter 51. Verse 6, flee out of Babylon, out of the midst of Babylon, Salakia, and deliver every man his soul, talking to you Israelites, your so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, which really is ultimately going to be the elect, because, I mean, it's an invitation for all Israelites, but the Lord knows that all Israel ain't going to come to the truth. And even those who do come, something's going to make you, you're going to get offended. You're going to get offended at the gospel. You're going to get offended at Yahweh Shai. And that's our thing, not to be offended at Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Hey, and ultimately, hey, many are called, few are chosen. So I mean, there's nothing we could do about that, right? I mean, it's upsetting, it's frustrating, but I mean, of course, you want to be picked. You would like to be those first fruits, but hey, it ain't gonna be everybody. But yeah. But every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity, right? This place, because all America is iniquity. The freedom that America gives you, that they tell you to be free in, is to be full of iniquity, right? And then they're gonna turn around and rend you with it, right? They're gonna turn around and yeah, because that's what they do. What about Chicago? What about you created the conditions for Chicago, L.A., New York, was it Louisiana, Memphis, some of these places that's been murder capitals for quite some time. What is it? Even a place like what is it? A little old place like, oh yeah, Little Rock, right? Little Rock, Arkansas, right? It was a murder capital for a while. What is it? Gary, Indiana, small place, murder capitals and stuff. Like, you know, was it Oakland? Yeah, all these different places, man. And you permeate the condition, everything, and even show that the rich get richer. In order to be rich, any great riches, there was a great crime behind it, right? And you know that, and you show that. Your movies is come on. You know, even the so-called prominent people that you know, when they show they did the movie about they did the little show that they created about Bill Gates. Bill Gates. He stole all that stuff. What's his name? Pretty much, it was almost like the same scenario with the Facebook guy. They showed the Facebook guy. He stole all those things, and then they made it look like, oh well, it was not a big deal. And then he went to court. He paid it off, and then you don't talk about how this man was a thief, stole all the ideas, and you just gave these people some pocket change. Well, I mean, it's a lot of money. For me, it's a lot of money, but it's pocket change to a billionaire after you stole the idea, you know, and that's what you show people. But when they commit the iniquities and this and that, what about Chicago? What about Chicago? It gets me, man. For this is the time of Yahweh's Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kalkadas vengeance, right? Because ultimately, you're going to pay for all that, man. The Lord is going to take vengeance upon you, ultimately, because of for his name's sake, and then for his elect, right? Starting with Yahweh Shai. He will render unto her what? A recompense, right? Which means to return. Re means to do. Con meaning with. Pence means to make you feel pity. You're gonna put you in a pitiful condition, right? You're gonna be pity. You're gonna be begging, right? You're gonna be, and well, it tells you lamentation, mournings, and woes is in this scripture and within this book. People say it's the good book, but it's more than just it's a lot more lamentation, mourning, and woes than there is good, and then the good is really only for the elect at this point, and then it will be for all the nation of Israel, right? And then eventually the whole world will benefit over the righteous ruling over it. It says Babylon have been a golden cup, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakah hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of the wine, right? The philosophy, these different ideologies of being pretend to be a democracy and all these different things, and these trades, and keep. Ultimately, you all agreed to keep the Israelites down, keep the true Israelites, the Yasha Allah, should I say, keep Yasha Allah on the wraps, so to speak. Keep them in the gutters, the vadios, the reservations, the slums, right? The ghettos, right? And that's your wine, right? It says, "Come, let us come together, that Israel may be no more remembered." Right? That's part of your wine. It says, "Therefore, the nations are mad," right? Because what you're not looking at the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. It's like the wind. It goes to ever which way it will and it wants. And it's all based on the Most High. He automatically said in the scripture that he would be angry with us forever. right? You know, but now the nations are what? They are mad. Yeah, so this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 20. And the 10 horns that were in his head of the 10 of the other which came up before whom 3 fell, right? Which was it Spain, France, and the UK, which is England, right? They fell, and then America erected out of that, which really was false. That Boston Tea Party thing was a false flag event. It was fake, right? You know, because really, England still basically rules over America, right? You know, that was all fake. It was all smoke and mirrors, you know, because it shows you that when you go, it was a young woman supposedly, and even that might have been fake. Somehow she did a school project and she was able to figure all that thing out, right? That all the presidents are related, and it all goes back to the so-called King of England. Every president is related to that King of England, which show you that England still rules over this place via through his family lineage, which even Barack Obama was part of that family lineage. Now, that's all smoke and mirrors. So they can so-called give you some type of black image, right? That's why they had to make sure that his father was a Kenyan and not an actual Jake, which he still could have been a Jake. Who knows? Because what do you call it? Jake spread his seed. You know, there's Jake that looked like any amount of other people, but that's the reason why they kept close reins on Obama when he was in office. That's the reason why he had to be the one who had the most shootings of Jake, the most arrests and the most shootings of Jake during his administration. That's why he did the most drone strikes other places, because people overlooked and they didn't say much because that's one of those they want to look over and being you don't want to say something, you don't want to seem racist, right? So to speak. But it says which came up before whom the 3 fell, right? Which was France, Spain, and England. They fell, and then you got America. Even of that horn that had eyes, and the mouth spake very great things, whose eyes were more stout than his fellows, right? And that's this place, man, right? They speak great swelling things, like what's his name? Not Clinton, but yeah, Clinton said a bunch of madness too. But Kennedy, he bragged about going to the moon and all this and that, and now you got Donald Trump being in office, and they're bragging about how they went to Venezuela and they had these sonic guns, or these wave guns. And these wave guns, they only had like 4 people, and these wave guns can kill hundreds of people at one time, right? And these are things that they're doing. This is Daniel 7 and 20, but I'm going to amplify version, so same verse, but I'm doing the amplified. It says, and the meaning of the 10 horns, of the 10 horns, kings, right? And we gave the 10 horns basically those rulerships that Esau had, Edom, that were upon its head another horn, right? Which the other horn is America, which came up later, which is America, and before which 3 of the horns fell, right? Which we gave that France, Spain, England, which that was false. From England, because England still ruled over, right? Specifically, specifically, that horn which had eyes and a mouth that boasted great things, which looked larger than others, right? And they bragged about the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bringing fire down from heaven. They're the greatest military. They're the richest country. It's just boasting, you know. And that's this place, man. But they're coming up against this whore. These nations. Keep going. It says, and I beheld the same horn had made war with the saints, and said, ultimately, that's what Trump is doing now, right? He's bragging about that. Oh, there was these Cubans, and we killed like 30-something Cubans, and hey, he was like happy. He's happy killing the tribes. You know what I mean? They're over there in Haiti, jacking up Levi. They're over in Nigeria, jacking up Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in Nigeria. And then, you know, of course, we're here in America, and they bringing out the troops and all sorts of things over here in America, right? Going down to Venezuela with the tribes is down in Venezuela, talking about how they're going to knock off Colombia too, out there, right? Which I think that's Naphtali, right? I think the Naphtali, the Colombians. Naphtali, yeah. So you got, or Asher, right? No, that might be Asher. But yeah, you got Asher, Naphtali, all of them down there towards Brazil. You know, you got the tribes, and they're bragging about it, man. But the nations, they're mad, right? They're getting upset.
Below is a clear, structured explanation of 2nd Esdras 11:7-8, first in its original Roman context, then how it is reapplied to America in modern eschatological frameworks, and finally the claim of reincarnation, Rome, America, Nero, Trump. 1. Original meaning. Rome in 2nd Esdras 11 verse 7-8 text. Paraphrased. 2nd Esdras 11:7, the eagle had 3 heads, and its wings ruled the earth. 2nd Esdras 11:8, the heads ruled, but one head appeared larger and ruled longer than the others. Historical interpretation. 1st to 2nd century Jewish apocalypse. The eagle equals Roman Empire. Eagle was Rome's military standard, legions. Wings, feathers, successive rulers or imperial administrations. 3 heads equals final phase of Roman rule, commonly interpreted as either 3 imperial dynasties or 3 dominant emperors ruling in overlapping or consecutive power. Many scholars identify the one head that ruled longer with Augustus, or in later interpretations, Nero, because Nero dominated the imperial imagination. Nero persecuted Jews and early Christians. Nero's reign symbolized Rome's moral collapse. This led to the Nero Redivus legend, the belief Nero would return. 2. Modern reapplication, Rome, America. Modern prophetic interpreters, especially within apocalyptic or Hebrew Israelite frameworks, argue, open quote, America is Rome revived, not geographically, but politically, militarily, and spiritually, close quote. How Rome is mapped onto America, Rome, United States, eagle standard, bald eagle, empire ruling nations, global superpower, Senate plus it, Caesar, Congress president, military domination, worldwide bases, economic exploitation, global financial system. Thus, the eagle rising from the sea equals America rising from many people's nations, cf. Rev 7:15. Wings equals president's administrations. 3 heads equals final ruling powers, factions, or dominant presidencies. 3. 2 Esdras 11 verse 7, Roman versus American reading. Roman reading. 3 heads equals Roman emperors. Wings, provincial governors or Caesars. Focus, persecution of Israel and righteous people. American prophetic reading. 3 heads equals 3 dominant power centers. Executive, military, financial elite. Or 3 final presidents representing the climax of the system. Some modern interpreters claim 1 head rules longer equals a figure who dominates political life, even outside formal terms of office. This is where Trump comparisons arise. Now 4. Esdras 11 verse 8, the reincarnation claim for clarification. 2nd Esdras does not teach literal reincarnation. Instead, it uses apocalyptic typology. What reincarnation means in prophecy, not soul transfer, but pattern repetition. Open quote, same spirit, same role, same function in history. Close quote. Biblical precedent. Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, Caesar, beast. Elijah, John the Baptist, Luke 1:17. King of Babylon, King of Tyre, beast. Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28. So when interpreters say, open quote, Nero reincarnated, close quote, they mean a ruler embodying the same archetype, a persecuting, arrogant, blasphemous imperial personality, a symbol of the empire's final corruption. 5. Why Nero-Trump comparisons appear 2026 context. The parallels drawn are symbolic, not historical. Nero, Trump, as interpreted, polarizing ruler, polarizing leader, cult of personality, accused of tyranny, accused of authoritarianism, dominated public life, dominates media, politics, will return legend, political comeback narrative. Thus, in prophetic circles, Trump is not Nero literally. He is cast as a Nero-type head of the eagle. Number 6. Summary. 2 Esdras 11 verse 7 through 708-8 originally describes Rome. Modern interpreters substitute America for Rome. The eagle remains the imperial system. The 3 heads represent final ruling powers. Reincarnation is reappearance of the same imperial spirit. Trump comparisons come from typology, not reincarnation doctrine. If you want, I can. Break down all 12 wings feathers in Roman versus American terms. Align 2 Esdras 11 with Daniel 7 and Revelation 13. Explain how GMS Israelite frameworks interpret the eagle differently from mainstream Christianity.
All right. Yeah. I just did that just to see if it would just tell me, so it can help break it down. And it kind of went into it being spiritual a little bit, saying, but that's pretty much what it is. It's the spirit of Rome, the spirit of Nero is in Trump, right? And it's literal. The literal spirit of Nero is in Trump, right? That's why the same type of things happen all the time, because the same spirits come back, right? So the and what America's basically like the spirit of Rome, it's returning. It says, and I beheld, and lo, which means to look, a eagle rose up upon her talents, right? Going into basically that draconial laws, right? A talents, when an eagle grabs with the talents, it's to impel you, right? To keep a thing in its place, oppression, right? And that's what they're about to do, going into this draconial laws, right? And you can see that via through this ICE agent unaliving, a lady, them going to go snatch up a president from another country, and them even saying they want to invade Greenland if they don't come to negotiations, that they say they're going to just take it over, right? Which is going into that basically being those talents, right? And then this being Rome 2.0, right? The one with the deadly wound that was healed, right? And spake to her feathers, saying, right, which that was the Roman Empire of that time, right? Watch not all at once, right? So each Roman Empire had to live and then die, but he had to live and be in his order, right, so to speak. And then those who ruled a short space or only ruled a little bit of time, that was like the equivalent of the Lord shortening the days, because the Lord pretty much, he had to have it set that there were only going to be 12 Caesars before the Western Roman Empire fell, right? And the days are being shortened now, right? So those Caesars are back, right? It says, sleep everyone in his own place. So everyone had to die, which death is, referred to as sleep also, right? Via through the scriptures. So everyone had to die and watch by course, right? So everyone had to go die, live out their course, but let the heads, right? And then these Caesars be preserved for the last, right? So that's like a reincarnation, right? They're gonna come back, and Nero Trump is like a reincarnation. Is the reincarnation. Trump is the reincarnation of Nero, right? Coming back, showing forth that draconial measure, right? Laws. Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. It says, the beast from the earth, and it says, and I beheld, which means to look, feast your eyes, look, pay attention. Another beast came up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and that's what they have been portraying to the world, or at least how the world looks at America, like they're angelic or infallible, things like that. Meanwhile, their great rob and murder of the so-called Native Americans, took their entire country, the so-called Negro, Latino also as well, You know what I mean? And then eventually, going around the world, conquering and taking over and setting up coups so they can get the gold, the oil, the uranium, whatever things that they can get out of the earth, precious minerals and jewels and things. But somehow people still look at them like, angelic or infallible. But times is getting different where people are not looking at them that way. So they realize they can't come at it with the smile, you know, with the smile gesture, but wars in their heart, right? So the words are smoother than butter, but wars in their heart. They can't come at it that way. Now they just have to just come out with it. And he spake as a dragon, and that's what they're about to do. And I saw another beast rising up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, being nice Christian. Yeah, being a nice Christian, because that's what America was about. Christian values, this and that. The 2 horns being going back to the Roman Empire. They were the plebeians and the patricians, right? But now they're the so-called Democrats and Republicans. But really, it's two horns of the same, basically of the same dragon, right? Because if you ever recognize how they draw up dragons, a dragon always have these horns like a lamb, right? So the dragon has horns, but people looked at the horns and saw and thought of a lamb, right? And they played the innocent role, the smiles and this and that, Christian values of America, right? But all in all, what they have to speak like a dragon coming to this end, knowing that they have but a short time, right? And that's what they're doing with this whole thing with the president of Venezuela, Maduro, this whole thing with the ICE shooting, killing, unaliving the lady, and then this whole thing of saying that they're willing to make a deal for Greenland. If not, they're gonna, it's either the easy way or the hard way, showing that they're going into the draconian measures, showing that they have but a short time, showing you that we're at the end, and this ain't a game, no time to play.
Strong's G 1404. Dracon.
Yeah, see, that's what they about to do. Dracon, right? Draconian laws, right? So a dragon or a great serpent, right? And that's what happened. They're the serpent from the beginning, but as the serpent, it's been getting bigger, it's been getting larger, been eating up everything. Satan as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. That serpent becomes bigger and bigger and bigger till it's a dragon, right? A name of Satan, which Satan just means adversary, it just means enemy, and he's the enemy of the entire world, especially the Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, but to himself, right? Ultimately, right? He's an enemy to himself. Yeah, I guess that's it. There's no route to go to it, but it's Dracon, right? Which goes into draconian laws. Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 12. It says, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast," which is talking about Rome. That's why I talked about the plebeian, the patricians that come from Rome. But now the Democrat and Republican, the first beast, before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. Right. And, this whole world is about, the way that Rome did it. You can go to, even in China, it's like a parliament. It's like it's set up like Rome, like they have the things set up, like they have a Congress, and, Russia's like that. Korea, South Korea, their whole way that they do everybody in the world, they so-called do this voting thing, when voting it's all BS, but it's a way to make the people feel that they have some type of freedom, but then they're coming to the time where they're going to show you don't have that type of freedom. But I guess they're still going to try to give you some type of freedom when you built these 15-minute cities. Yeah, you have freedoms within this 15-minute city. You'll have the latest and the greatest. You'll have some type of electrical motorized scooter that can draw you to the one side. You can call you a Waymo, whatever it's called, and it can drive you to the other side. It ain't gonna have a person in it, but it's gonna drive by itself. You have bikes and stuff that has the little kind of like you plug it in, it has electric and it almost has like a little engine to it. All these different little things that they plan on being the smart cities. Everything's interconnected. Everything's seeming to be easy and accessible. Even how you're going to pay. You're going to just swipe your palm, or you're just going to walk out the store because you have the micro C-hip in your hand or in your forehead. It's going to automatically charge. Walk out. Look, that's so great. But then they're not talking about how they're going to oppress you with the what's it called? The carbon footprint, or the social credit score, and you have to meet a social type of credit, and you have to be this and that. So you're still going to be oppressed at the end of the day, and they don't know how not to oppress you on some type of way, right? All this technological advances, and they're still going to oppress you. So it's better for you to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. See, because they want you to worship them and worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, right? And that dealing with the Roman Empire. But now they have what? Technology. They're gonna use the technology to do that. He exercises all the authority of the first beast, which is the Roman Empire, in his present when two are together, and he make the earth and those who inhabit it to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, right? Which is dealing with the Roman Empire, right? Yeah, so this is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee, right? Which that's what the dude said. This is everybody that's in NATO. It's saying, hey, we're going to come to the defense of Greenland. So these are the men who you spent money. You throwing money at Ukraine. You're throwing money at the whole this whole system, of being this global power, this super friends, so to speak, but you're, at the end, they're going to come against you. They're coming against you. At the end of the day, they're coming against you. They brought thee even to the borders. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, right? Oh yeah, America, yeah, we good with you now. We good, homie. Now everything's okay. Yeah. I know. Every time you seem like that, France is bucking up, saying that they want to make their own military in case they have to fight against you. Oh, but don't look at that. That ain't no big deal. That's just how was it Macron or whatever? That's just how you act, bro. Don't pay that no attention, right? Meanwhile, they're deceiving you and prevailed against thee. They that ate thy bread, right? They received the aid. They gave the aid to Ukraine, of course to Israel, and of course this dude just gave away the money to Argentina, right, for no goddamn reason. Meanwhile, your farmers and your citizens are hurting. So that's laying a wound. People are hurting. Wound hurts, right? A wound lets you know that you're cut, but somehow you're ignoring the cut. You're ignoring the cries of the people because they're wounded, right? Because that's why it's going to say this right here. Lay the wound under thee, there is no understanding in him. Yeah, because if your own citizens are saying, "Oh my God, what is going on?" The farmers came to you, "Hey man, what's going on? Why would you give the dude this money and this and that?" And then they didn't sell it to us. They didn't sell their what did they sell? Soybeans or something. I believe it was soybeans or something, right? Because Argentina got great coffee beans too. But then he talking about getting their beef, but come to find out, their beef have a large that mad cow's disease type situation, allegedly, right? So you're gonna sell off all our stuff to bring in some mad cow beef, allegedly, right? That's crazy, right? And but you don't have no understanding. What do they say? A hit dog, a holler, man. They're hollering, but he's ignoring that it's the holler. He's ignoring the cries, which means you're wounded. That's like, you know what I mean? It's like a person with a what is the scriptures talk about that, I think, right? A person with a foot out of joint, right? You still walking around like you normal, like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, you don't know your foot's out of joint, which they could have saved it, you know. Get yourself off your foot, get you to the right doctor. He could pop it in place, something, put a couple and fix it and save the foot. But you walking with a foot out of joint and you acting like ain't nothing wrong with no understanding, and then now they got to chop it off. Let's see. Let me get that. Let me see if I can find that. And that, yeah, basically, this is Proverbs chapter 25, verse 19. It says, confidence in an unfaithful man. And that's Trump, man. He have no understanding. He's unfaithful to his own country. He's faithful to the tiny tops, right? To the nickel hats, right? He's more faithful to them. He's an honorary nickel hat, right? I don't know how I did that, but the whole thing about these MAGA supporters, they have this confidence, a confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble, and that's what you're about to be in. Jacob's trouble is everybody's trouble. Is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint, right? My foot out of, you're just walking around like, yeah, everything. Hey, man, is that those goddamn hillbilly? They got teeth missing, right? Foot out of joint. Hey, you know what I'm saying? They just goddamn crap. He gonna get us there. We're gonna be all right, man. Hey, and it's time to have confidence in an unfaithful man. And this man, and a man with no understanding on top of that. Like, hey, you got confidence in the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? Now instead of getting it fixed, you're gonna have to get it amputated, man. You're gonna be amputated. Right? That's crazy. Yeah, but that's kind of, you got confidence in a fool, basically. You know. Things is all. Look at America. It is out of control, man. But you got confidence. It's crazy. But let me go finish this up in the Amplified. I'm going to go ahead and close out. This is Obadiah 1:7 in Amplified. It says, all the men allied with you shall send you on your way. Right? They really, yeah, they don't really, in which they're doing that. I mean, pretty much the whole world is doing that. One of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons is all those Latin countries down in South America, right, were only going straight to using China or Russia, right? And China still got a big hold out there because China actually was building bridges. China was actually helping them, right? China ain't looking to have stipulations, at least right now. They're trying to be on some legit things. But then America's coming in just on some bully stuff. Well, the people that were aligned with you or allied with you, right, shall send you on your way to the border. The men who were at peace with you, right, all them NATO countries about to stand up and defend Greenland, shall deceive you and overpower you. Those who ate your bread, those who you trusted, right, shall set a hostile ambush for you, right? Yeah, and that's what that's about to happen. Them ICBM missiles are about to shoot at you. Let all of them be shot, right? Right? Spare no arrows. There is no understanding in it, right? There's no understanding in Trump, man. There's no understanding in when your citizens are crying and they need help, but y'all just walking around like ain't nothing wrong. You know, so with all that, call Loyum Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash, like give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, shalom. To you sisters, you are chwathim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and above all, chom yasharallah. Call Lawyer Yahweh Bashar.